And very quickly, we're gonna be having an interaction with the observance of the day, which is World Sickle Cell Day. And I have with me Professor Bazuaye Nosa, who is a consultant hematologist, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, and former CMD IUTH. Good morning, Professor Bazuaye.
Good morning, Philip. Nice to be here.
All right. Well, today is World Sickle Cell Day.
Yeah.
What's the theme and what are the prompts for today?
Well, usually on the 19th of June every year, WHO has declared it as a World Sickle Cell Day, actually to draw some attention to sickle cell.
Okay.
And this year's theme, 2024, is on history, the significance, and all you need to know about sickle cell. So these are the areas that it's more like an awareness to further draw attention to sickle cell.
Okay. Let's look at the challenges of this, of sickle cell, and what breakthrough has come up in medicine in tackling these challenges.
Well, sickle cell, as you know, we'll just say that it actually started it was first discovered in 1910.
Okay.
You know, from a medical student that was in the United States, where you have immigrants who have migrated from Africa. So since then, sickle cell has really been a disease of what we would say, the blacks.
Oh.
Because it's been found, yes,
the blacks.
more of the blacks, yes, because it's a disease that's found in areas that are endemic for malaria. So if you look at the belt of malaria, it runs between West, East, and Central Africa. And surprisingly, South Africa is not in the malaria belt. So you have very few patients with sickle cell disease in South Africa, despite the fact that they are blacks. So it's more of a disease that has to do with malaria endemicity. We feel that it's nature's attempt to create individuals who are resistant to malaria. And so from that, created a situation where you have cells that are sickle. So you discover that people who are hemoglobin AS tend to be more resistant to malaria than those who are hemoglobin AA and those who are hemoglobin SS.
Okay.
So that's how sickle cell started. And since then, it's been a big challenge. I want to say that if sickle cell was a disease of the whites, for example, by now it should have been eradicated. Because it's a disease that you already know what are the causes. And so avoiding it would have been much, much easier. But it's been a big challenge in Africa because we are developing and we are not proactive in terms of ensuring that the sickle cell disease is actually eliminated.
Okay.
Because the challenges are enormous, not only on the patient, but even on the relatives. Because if you have a child that has sickle cell disease, you discover that both the father and mother will not go to work most of the time. Either the mother is always in the hospital with the child, even the siblings, everybody feels the impact.
Okay.
The brothers feel the impact, the society feels the impact. And several challenges have been on in terms of their health challenges. They're not also able to go to school because they are always absent from school because of the disease. Some of them are lucky when they are also properly taken care of in terms of those who are financially capable. But those who are not financially capable, you see the damage on all organs.
All right.
So a lot of breakthroughs have actually taken place. The treatment is, we always say that prevention is better than cure. I always preach that you have about 3% of Nigerians having sickle cell disease. That's huge. It's more in the north than in the south. It's less in the south because we tend to be a little proactive in terms of our religion that makes us ensure that before you get married, you must have your genotype done.
Okay.
So you have more in the north. But until 1984, that's when the cure for sickle cell started, where in 1984, the first cure for sickle cell was done with bone marrow transplantation.
Okay.
And
First cure.
First cure, yes. That's when the history of the first cure for sickle cell in the world. And since 1984, a lot of sickle cell patients have been transplanted. We only started doing transplant in Nigeria in 2011 when we started doing that in University of Benin Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
Okay, and since then, we've been doing a lot of transplantation up to now. In fact, the Benin University Teaching Hospital, in collaboration with Celtech Healthcare, has been performing stem cell transplant for now. And then we celebrated our 25th transplant, successful transplant, some few months ago. where we actually, so once the donor is AA or AS, the patient's genotype changes from SS
Beautiful.
to AA or AS.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I followed your articulation, and I must say that is quite awesome. And
Thank you very much.
I'm a bit taken aback when you spoke about the fact that if it was to be
the developed
of
world,
the
yes.
whites,
Yeah.
the developed world that would have crossed this path of
Yes.
trying to find a lasting solution to solving this problem. But again, you also spoke about the fact that there has been so many breakthroughs,
Yeah.
and that there's now a possibility of curing that disease. So what actually do you see as a setback in Africa, and how do you see prospects that could come to tackle such setbacks in order to improve on researches?
Yeah. Okay, I think the first thing is that sickle cell disease is inherited. So it means that when you have enabling laws and education, we expect that before people get married, for example, you need to know your genotype. And that will go a long way in reducing the number before we talk about tackling the disease.
Okay.
So we expect that if it was a developed country, most likely people would have been so educated and facilities would have been in place to ensure that before people get married, you will know your genotype. And so you will not have kids who are going to be hemoglobin
As a
SS.
way of prevention.
As a way of prevention. And so this 3% that we're talking about will be less. And then with time, gradually, you're going to eliminate it because people now know that, oh, if I get married to somebody who is hemoglobin AS, I'm going to have kids that are SS. Part of the problem, too, in this country is that to even do the genotype, the correct one, to say that, oh, you've done a genotype and you are sure of what it is. Because most of the patients I do transplant for, more than half of them got their kids from wrong results. So we're talking about a government that is not proactive in the sense that if we have a government that says, so for example, genotype screening is free.
Okay.
And we're doing it in designated centers where the results will be authentic.
Okay.
Most times, if you go to some labs where they have wrong results, they look at you, and if they feel that you are looking too good, they say you are AA. If you are not looking too good, they say you are AS. Somehow, some don't even do it. So we have a situation where that's the first stage, ensuring that everybody gets to know their genotype and know the right genotype. I'm not talking about a wrong one.
Yeah.
So government needs to be proactive, ensure that centers are designated with the right equipment so that everybody knows their genotype. I did a study in secondary school to find out how many secondary school students before they get into the university know their genotype. Very few. Even in the university, about 60% of students in the university do not know their genotype, the right genotype.
Okay.
So that is the
You
first
keep
thing.
saying the right genotype. The challenge now is what could happen to someone who got a fake result
Yes.
on the genotype?
That's why I said,
What
number
could
one.
possibly happen?
Number one, most of the labs that are running the test are not running the test properly.
Wow.
Now, most of the common equipment they are using in most places in Nigeria or developing countries are the method that was used in developed countries more than 20, 30 years ago. And this test is affected by current, it's affected by the expertise, it's affected by the chemical that we use in doing the test. So these three things can be affected. And so when you do the test, you have a wrong result. But there are confirmatory tests. Like UBT, for example, we have the machine for confirmatory tests. So if they can make many centers have the ID machine, so that once you do the test, you are sure if they say you are AS, you are AS. If they say you are SS, you are SS. So that's the first stage. And that will eliminate a lot of people who are ready to know their genotype but have wrong results. After that, the next thing is making sure that these sickle cell disease patients are properly treated. Health insurance is the way to go. Now, a population of a country that is over 200 million. Yes. A good health insurance program will solve our health problem in this country. I can guarantee you that. A very good health insurance program, because everybody will not be sick at the same time. So if we're having a very robust health insurance, all these problems, many sickle cell patients die before the age of 5. Nigeria still has, they give birth to about 300,000 births yearly, sickle cell disease children. So that's huge. So,
quite huge.
Yeah, so with good health insurance, we'll make a lot of progress. Then also, too, we're talking about the cure.
The transplant.
Yeah, we are doing cure for sickle cell, but how many patients can we cure? We're talking about a population of over 200 million, and 3% of them have SS. So how many patients can we really cure, even if we are doing transplant every day?
How expensive is it?
It's expensive. Now, the transplant for sickle cell worldwide, Nigeria still has the lowest in terms of the cost, but still is still beyond the reach of many Nigerians. In 2011, we were doing it for about 5 million when dollar was,
wow.
Yeah. Now, in 2017, when dollar went up to about 360, 500, it went up to about 710 million. Now, the dollar is almost 1,700 or thereabouts, or 1,500.
Yeah.
So its cost has gone up to about 15 million,
wow.
thereabouts. Now, the problem is that the cost of transplant in Nigeria would have been as small as 3 to 5 million. Because for the period of transplant, the patient stays in the hospital for 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
And that 2 to 3 months, you need to power the isolation rooms.
Of course, yes.
And so you use diesel. And diesel, we know what it is now. Okay. And power, even if you have power from BEDC, you know the rates we're talking about now. So for 2 to 3 months, you would have wasted close to 5-7 million on power. And drugs that are imported from anywhere outside this country, they're in dollars.
Okay.
So once you import them, you get... So those are the problems.
Okay, let's look at the message that you are taking out to the public now.
So my message is very clear, that despite the fact that we are doing stem cell transplant for the cure of sickle cell in Nigeria, we still remain the only center in the whole of Nigeria that is doing stem cell transplant. We're saying that we cannot continue to rely on the fact that, yes, there is a cure. It's beyond the reach of many Nigerians. Transplant in Nigeria is about $20,000 to $25,000 equivalent. But in developed countries like Europe and US, we're talking about $250,000 equivalent. And you know how huge that is. Yeah. So what we're emphasizing is like the team that talks about the history, the significance, and what you need to know. The emphasis this year is that we need to know that government needs to be proactive. Make sure that genotype screening is free for every Nigerian. And ensure that they are done properly in designated, accredited centers, so that people can know their genotype.
So it's a call to action for the government to also assist in this regard.
And so that we can reduce the burden of sickle cell disease in Nigeria. It is doable that with time, we can actually eradicate sickle cell disease from this country.
Thank you. A whole lot has been said, and as we observe what sickle cell today. Big thanks, Professor Bazuaye.
Thank you, Philip.
A consultant hematologist, UBTH, and former CMD, IUTH.